Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today we're taking a deep dive into all things Steam Deck. Let's check it out. Well, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game, and I was so excited to have Danik here with me.
How you doing?
Good, and thank you so much for bringing the glorious Steam Deck over. I've been looking forward to doing this video. With this kind of bigger focus heading towards digital, I've been thinking about Steam and everything it has to offer, and honestly, as a huge JRPG fan, Steam is like a treasure trove of JRPGs.
It's definitely seemed that way. You've kept up with it a lot more than I have. And as soon as I got this thing, I couldn't wait to bring it over and show it to you.
Oh, well, and another thing I'm so psyched about is kind of all the potential that's in this. And we're kind of going to go over that today, but kind of, you've had the Steam Deck for how long now?
Just about a week.
So what's your initial impressions of it?
Very strong. There's a lot of things I like about it a lot. There's other things I have some apprehensions towards.
Okay.
There are things people are excited about that I think they need to slow their roll a little bit.
Really?
That's the wrong phrasing to use.
No,
but
you're good.
to slow down, maybe just think it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
There are things that still need tweaked. There's software things that Valve needs to update.
Okay.
Which, since I've had one, they've put out a couple of updates. So we'll see how quickly those things happen. I'm not sure yet.
Well, and one you were talking about is when we had first talked and we'd kind of gone over the Steam Deck and going over it, you mentioned you thought it was a little quiet, and they have just recently released a patch apparently raising the max volume for it. So.
Yeah, just 2 days ago there was an update and the max volume could go a little bit higher, and it was incidental. We had just talked about it and I just casually mentioned that I thought it was really quiet.
Yeah, because it's May 29th as we're filming this, so I'm not sure when this video will go live, but just to kind of dive in, what are some of the pros you think that the Steam Deck is doing right?
Some of the things that I think it's doing right is that you can pick it up, log into your Steam account, and everything's there. Everything you're used to seeing, all of your games will show up, all of your friends are there. There's very easy to use friend list tabs. You can easily check your library for what games are considered great on deck as they've been marketing this. There are a lot of things that you're used to in the PC Steam program that are right here, easy to use, and there's just a lot of little touches that they thought about what people were going to want, and it's all there. Now there's things that could be ironed out, but I think they really thought with a player first mindset went into the design of this and how you want to interact with your games and with your friends.
Well, one thing that is really interesting to me is obviously people probably care the most about, and that is as players and gamers, we care about performance. And one thing I was really shocked to see, now mind you, I've never actually played Final Fantasy 15, and you told me you had kind of dialed back to the settings a little bit, but I'm shocked at just how well that sucker's running.
Yeah, well, it was one of the first games I'm probably going to spend most of my time with. It'll probably be the first longer game I finish. Mm-hmm. And when you first start playing with it, it eats the hardware. The battery life is really short. Mm-hmm. It is that fan is chugging. It gets hot.
It gets a little
warm.
Hair dryer.
And then as I learned how the Steam Deck kind of lets you play around with its settings, I found out we could limit the frame rate to just 30, and it hard locks it at 30. The fan calms down. The battery life tripled. And it's all right there with a click of a button. It's interesting. And it's those kinds of things I enjoy, but I don't know if as a casual person, will they know to check those types of settings, to adjust those type of settings.
Because one thing you had mentioned to me in the past was a con about it is, well, it's like a pro and a con. There is a lot that an enthusiast or someone who loves to tinker can go to town on. But for maybe just average Joe Schmo off the street, they pick this up, they're like, well, Final Fantasy 15 runs like crap on this because they're not necessarily, so maybe in the future they could maybe add like a preferred settings for Steam Deck or something like that.
They already have that in place on Steam for controllers.
Okay.
They have preset controller settings that tend to get voted on, an upvoted, like an upvote kind of system.
Okay.
And it will default to the community's most popular controller layouts for certain games. This is away from the Steam Deck even.
Okay.
And the Steam Deck has integrated this concept into a default Steam Deck layout as well.
That's honestly an excellent
Very
idea.
cool. And I think what would be wise is if they take that same principle and apply it to game settings on deck.
Right.
So you can have a Final Fantasy 15 visual, what do they call it on PlayStation 5?
Performance and like
fidelity.
Yeah, graphical fidelity or something.
Yes,
like that.
I recall us playing Demon Souls the remake, and they had 2 different settings for. I think Steam Deck could present that better to an average Joe.
Right.
A little better.
Right.
But it is right there with one click of a button. You can max out the settings and kill your battery, or you can tone it back a little bit and get some legitimate battery life out of it.
So, okay, now that you've dialed back the settings on 15, and it looks great.
Yes,
it looks great.
It does look great.
About how long does a full battery last from like fully charged to, you need to plug it in?
Yeah, whenever I was unaware of changing settings and I had this thing going as strong as it could, it would hover between 30 and 50 frames per second, just depending on what was going on. But no matter what, the battery life would drain about 1% a minute.
Okay.
So it was about an hour and a half. Not great.
Right.
But whenever I found out I could change the frame rate and tone down the settings, it got about 4.5 hours, which is pretty good to me.
I want to say that is about a Switch Lite, if not maybe a little better than the Switch Lite.
I have no complaints once I found that out. And then playing much smaller, intense things like, say, 8-bit indie games, those sorts of things, it's 5, 6, 7 hours, no problem.
Okay.
Very nice.
That is excellent. So kind of a little bit more of a practical question, but how does the controller feel? Because one thing I noticed right off the bat is I was like, that looks like a Wii U gamepad. And the same dude was involved.
I think we found out, that a similar fellow was involved in the Wii U pad and the whole Steam Deck.
From what I held,
yeah,
it's substantial, but it feels good.
It's got some weight to it. I told another friend of ours, it's a new Game Gear. It's just kind of got that weight, that heft to it. Feels like it could take a beating. I'm not going to throw it just yet.
Right.
But it does seem like it's got some strength to it.
Right.
The buttons feel good. There was a lot of worry about how the B button, you can kind of see there, kind of leans out to the side with that. No problem. It has not bothered me at all. I didn't even notice it.
Right.
The D-pad feels great. And I'm very stickler for my D-pads.
And the touchpads are fascinating. It's a weird addition, but very cool.
The right touchpad, like whenever you roll your thumb across it, it engages the rumble, and you can feel like the roll of your mouse with it. It's bizarre. I don't quite understand it.
Another thing I was interested about is the back trigger buttons. Now, my brother, who plays exclusively first-person shooters, he always mods his controllers to have those on there. Those are pretty interesting to me that they're there. I didn't feel that I needed to use them or that I was accidentally hitting them. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature of it. But
I don't know if this is us and our age, but I'm also very unfamiliar with having back buttons on my controllers.
Right.
So I was concerned I would press them accidentally, just as where I rest my hands.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a Steam Deck thing or a paddle thing. Again, I've never used them myself. But they feel strong. I don't feel I'm going to press them accidentally.
Okay.
I have when I've used one hand to hold it. I will push them in, but it's never not a problem.
Another thing that was interesting to me, because I think a lot of people would agree it was one of the downsides of the PS Vita, which God bless that handheld. I love it. But how you had this proprietary memory card?
They're special-made memory cards that were very expensive.
How is the storage on this to deal with? Does it take anything normal or?
I can't speak. I believe all 3 models of the Steam Deck. I got the middle one.
Okay.
I believe they all have some form of internal storage. I can't speak to the specifics.
Okay.
But all of them at the bottom have a micro SD card slot, and just prior to receiving mine, I bought a 1 terabyte micro SD card, popped it in. It has a format the card option in settings. Clicked that, and it was ready to go. No
Sweet.
problem.
Oh, okay.
No problems.
So that's excellent. I mean, that was one of my favorite things about the Switch. Because, again, I'm not
Agreed.
tech savvy, but just being able to pick up a micro SD.
To be able to know you can go to the store, get a card, and it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Whenever I got the terabyte SD card, I made it a point to just start downloading a bunch of different games. And I found out that the downloads would stop while you were playing a game. I found out I could turn that off. And the Steam Deck comes to a screeching halt if you are downloading and playing a game at the same time. I do not recommend it at all.
Okay, that's good enough.
And come to find out, there is actually a note when you turn it off. On the Steam Deck, it will say, gameplay performance will be impacted. I took that as, hey, your game is going to lag if you play online. Not the case.
Okay.
The loading times become intense. Really bizarre things start happening.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Yeah, no, that's
because I was worried my card was broken, or that I received because there's rumors that Amazon will send fake or bootleg micro SD cards. No, it was all me and trying to play a game and download a game.
Okay.
It does not do well.
That's really good to know. Now, real quick before we move on, one feature that I'm very fascinated by, and I wanted to know your opinion on it, is the touch screen and the keyboard feature on it, because that appears to be excellent to me.
There are, the on-screen keyboard works really well. It is the Steam button on the left side with the X button together will always bring up a keyboard. And they've made it, there are certain games when you launch them, your PC launcher will come up, say Rockstar Games launcher, Ubisoft launcher, and you'll need to log in or enter some account info sometimes. And in any situation, the Steam button and the X button will always bring a keyboard up to the front so you can type whatever you need to.
That's fascinating.
And any type of launcher or reason.
So when I'm playing Final Fantasy 14 online and I need to,
to log into your Square Enix account,
Yeah.
it is right there.
So this is something I'll utilize. Cool. All right, excellent. I kind of wanted to touch on kind of the potential because, again, I think the limits to the Steam Deck are not even yet known. I think this is a fantastic piece of hardware. So one thing that I was very interested in is, to give you an explanation, is I used to have a PS3 that could play PS2 games, and I'd be able to just plug that HDMI cable into my capture software. It was easy. This isn't a problem most people would have, but I really wanted to share like Digital Devil Saga, the Xenosaga games, just
sure,
all of these games that I love, I want to play, but I want to be able to share and record them easily on an HDMI cable. What's fantastic is how RetroArch works on this sucker, and it runs better than me emulating it on my Xbox Series S. Now, again, I could have had some bad emulators down for them at the time, but you got DS emulation on here, the whole gambit, really.
Yeah, there was quickly I believe it was EmuDeck was kind of the discussion everyone was having about emulation software.
Mm-hmm.
They lead you to this website, say download this, run it, and it'll be on your deck, and just start adding your games to their respective folders. And sure enough, doing so, they all show up. They seem to run great. I haven't done much beyond PlayStation 2. There was just a slight hiccup in Digital Devil Saga, as I told you. When you're in the open, the frame rate kind of stuttered a little bit.
Okay.
But I have not tinkered with it, settings at all. This was plug it in, run it, play it, and it's been pretty great so far.
Yeah, because 64 and PS2 emulation has always been kind of famously bad, but it sounds like they've even come in a long way.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
It's been incredible.
Yeah, I just think it's excellent because, with PS Plus service coming out, we are not sure just yet, as of the recording of this, is how deep the JRPG backlog will be. And, I think that being able to play these games in handheld, oh my God, that is so cool to me. That is where I want to head. I love that so much.
Agreed. And we even played around with Game Pass on this.
Yeah.
We have some footage of that. Hopefully the PlayStation Now, or whatever they choose to call it, maybe we'll get lucky and we can run it on this device as well.
I'm hoping, because it does seem like Sony is at least willing to work with Steam and Epic a little bit. So
tides are changing.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's the case. I think the NSO is permanently never going to be on anything that's...
Probably not. I think Nintendo's going to stay in their home.
Yeah. They're like, no, we're fine. Yeah. The feature capability for this is pretty excellent with the Bluetooth technology. Could you just share that a little?
Yeah, they've definitely considered things people, even a niche market, expect from a gaming product, I think. I've had a little bit of Bluetooth connectivity. I don't have a lot of Bluetooth devices, but I've had everything I've connected has worked. It's not been an issue, and I love the dog Bluetooth for its being long in the tooth, but this has been very easy to use. Things work well out of the box. No additional software has been needed. I also have a Steam Link in my living room set up on my television, and with very little setup, I can stream the Steam Deck to my television, when put a controller in my hand and sit on the couch playing off of my Steam Deck on TV.
Essentially what we did with your PS Vita.
Correct.
But without having to keep it connected
Correct.
by cable.
And not needing any type of modified Vita software with DLL file changes, nothing like that. It's been pretty nice. They've announced a dock is supposed to come out or be shown off at the end of spring. So again, as of this recording, could be any day now. It will be interesting to see if they take the Switch approach, and that I can set it on my counter and pop it in, go about my day and play on my TV, take it off the dock, and just go wherever with it.
Yeah, because I know you had mentioned that if that's the case, then you'd essentially have a mobile computer, and you may even consider selling your tower.
Yes. I don't know how far this is going to go, but for someone like me, I haven't gotten into your Riot Games launcher with, say, Valorant or League of Legends. I haven't really messed with the Battle.net for, say, Overwatch or Diablo. But if those problems can be solved easily, and they would run just as well as, say, Final Fantasy 15 is, I wouldn't have any need for a big tower anymore when I can have this on the go. I can put it on a TV.
Right.
It'll be interesting.
Definitely.
One thing I'm unsure of is just its power future. We have Elden Ring on here. We're running at about 30 frames per second. Is it already capped in terms of a hardware perspective? Have we already found its peak?
Right.
We'll see.
Right, because the Switch is kind of in the PS3 to kind of PS4 era right now.
Yeah.
Where's the top of the line for the Steam Deck?
Absolutely.
I see what you're saying.
Have we already reached it with, say, an Elden Ring?
Right. And I'm wondering, because, I think this is a lot different than Google and Stadia, but how long will Valve print these?
Sure.
I mean, I feel like they're selling like hotcakes.
Agreed.
But
we don't have any idea how many they're producing either.
Right.
We have friends who are already in Q1 of 2023 in terms of a date that they'll receive theirs.
Right.
Is that because they've sold a numerous amount, or are they not making that many?
Right.
And I do believe Valve is aware that there's a lot of hype on the Steam Deck that may be encouraged by people who actually will not enjoy the tinkering aspect and will find that annoying or in the way, and they'll be discouraged by the device.
Because there is a lot of sandbox potential.
There is a lot. It is very open, and some people like that because they can do anything they want with it. Other people will find it annoying because they're expected to kind of know some jargon, and they don't know it, and it becomes frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there has to be a level of customization between the bare bones approach of the Switch, which I love the Switch, obviously, and the PS Vita, where you can literally, tinker with it a lot, and,
There is definitely a different approach being taken by both here.
Okay. And
the Switch being as popular as it is, I don't see the deck having even close to the same appeal.
Right.
Just there's a little too much of a enthusiast vibe to it all.
I see. Well, and that kind of, as we're wrapping up, I kind of want to ask you again, what are your pros and cons? Like, what's kind of on your mind when it comes to the Steam Deck?
Then this is again about a week, maybe 10 days tops. I've had this, and some of the things I really quickly liked was how easily it all worked once You turned it on, you logged into your Steam account, and you're good to go. That was all set up was, I already have a lot of games for it. It is very good about telling me what games work out of the box. There are games that it says do not work, that work out of the box. But there have been other games such as Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. Neither of those games even start. I can't get them to do anything.
I see.
But again, that comes with the territory of the device. I don't know how long it'll take. Will they ever reach 100% capability of games on Steam running on this? I would be surprised.
Is there a place somebody can go and look? Like, let's say they really want to play Final Fantasy 14 on the Steam Deck, but they're not sure if it'll work. Is there a place you go to check, or do you just...
Each game on the Steam store has a rating.
Okay.
Some of them are... I don't know how Valve labels them, but there's like a green light, a yellow light, a red light, and then an unknown. So they have some games such as Team Fortress 2 that is a yellow light indicating there may be little tweaks you'll need to make. There is the Aperture desk job that they released in tandem with the Dex launch. It works great out of the box, no issues. Then there's the VR Half-Life Alyx, which is flat out unsupported, and they've said it does not have the horsepower to run it in a VR setting.
I see.
And then there's other games that are listed as we have not tested them, but they still run well. And then just the same, you don't know what you're going to get. It may not work at all.
Right. And this is like really the earliest of like, I mean, this is kind of growing pains.
Absolutely.
And, like, it'd be nice to revisit this maybe next year and see like what the first year of the Steam Deck.
This is very early. Yeah. There's a lot of people still getting them, frankly.
Well, cool. This has been a lot of fun to kind of do an in-depth dive of this. If you all have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. If we can answer them, we definitely will. Danik, thanks so much for coming by. And
absolutely.
It'll be really interesting to see this next year come about. But again, thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel a whole bunch. But what helps out even more is sharing your thoughts down in the comments. But again, thank you so much for joining Danik and I here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks again for coming on. And I will see you all next time.